And here the stream has started.
Yeah.
It looks like the audience is already and automatically connecting. We see a lot of people in the audience, and that's a great thing. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and whatever time it is, good everything to everybody. This is Dev.24. We have some time until the start, which gives me the opportunity to open, we call this the grand opening, to open this third incarnation of Dev.24 throughout all of the years. Now, what are you looking at? Number one, you're looking at lots of people at home. Yes, this is one of those conferences that is virtual. Seeing the environment here, seeing what we have, actually makes me happy about what we have. This is as in person as it can be, as we are on Work Adventure. If you look at this stream later on, because we're streaming on YouTube and this all will be conserved for eternity or some time, you will wonder, what's this all about? There's a single talking head talking to me. Well, we are on Work Adventure, and we have an audience here of a couple of attendees, and they are filling the audience. And with me on stage, I have Louis, who is, well, at home, but he said it's currently quite dark there, so he doesn't want to show up right now. But that is a great way. Hold on a second. And that is a great way to talk about what we have here. So number one, we have a virtual conference. Number two, we are all at home or in our own office. If you're used to other events from and by Liferay, then you will know that we sometimes have a big studio and big production value. There's a team of about 10 people in the studio helping everybody. That is not the case at Dev.24. Dev.24 is basically a grassroots event where some people within Liferay are volunteering to get this going. So the whole history of Dev.24 is that in 2020, it became apparent that DevCon most likely won't happen in the fall or autumn Northern Hemisphere of 2020 for obvious reasons. But there's a new release coming out, or there was a new release coming out. Back then, it was 7.3. And just talking about myself, my job is to know everything about the new releases and to be able to position all of the new features that we get with customers. I shall know about all of them. So what is better than asking everybody who has built something to sit together with me for half an hour and explain, what have you built? Well, that's a great idea, but nobody would do that, or only very few people would say, yeah, okay, we'll be happy to spend half an hour with you, and then half an hour with Louis as he's here, and half an hour with someone else and someone else and someone else. So basically half an hour with every single person who could make use of those new features in the company and at customers and within the community. That doesn't really scale. So what's better than to say, let's sit down for half an hour and record whatever you have to tell me, whatever you have to teach me about any new feature, record it for everyone, and then even make it interactive. And that's what we've now built with this Work Adventure setup. Now, speaking of the setup, hold on a second. Yes, this is what I want to share, just to have this shared with the with eternity or for eternity, so that the YouTube people know what we are speaking about. We have the audience here currently, well, a couple of people I can't really count, but they are watching the stream live, and they can interact with us. For example, we can ask them all to wiggle around or to pick one of their emojis and let us know what you're currently thinking. What is your expectation about Dev24? So wiggle around, move left, right, if you are looking forward to the event. And that always takes a couple of seconds because we have the streaming delay.
Let me move also.
You can also move around, of course, yes.
Yeah, you can spam emojis, and you also have a global chat, I believe, on the left of emojis, where you can share your thoughts and ask questions at any time.
So, and then as we have Nestor running around, just information for you. If you are entering the stage, you will be in this stream. So you will be in this meeting. And that means that you will be visible, number one, to the audience. What did you expect? You just entered the stage. So you will be visible, you will be part of the stream. And if you don't want that, just stay away from the stage. If you want to ask a question, we can totally have that. We can have you on stage. Just remember, you will be visible on the stream and on the recording, and that will just be preserved for everybody in future. Where was I? Oh, the general assumption for Dev24. This is an event where you all have some time where you have the opportunity to meet each other, to communicate with each other throughout the event. Like everywhere you want to go, you can explore the whole world. We have way more than just this single stage here. We have a couple of pavilions. They are all north from here. And those pavilions contain another meeting area that's implemented as a Jitsi, just like the stage area here and the stream. But you can just enter there. It won't be streamed, and you can talk to each other with a couple of more people. If you just stand close to each other anywhere in this world, but not in the audience, if you just stand close to each other, you can talk to up to 4 people at a time. So you can either simulate a conference where you are at the coffee table, speaking of which, where you are at the coffee table and you talk to a small group, or you can talk to a larger group and actually go into more detail, share a screen. That all works everywhere within this world. There's a chat. You can contact people and just stand next to them, and you're allowed to brag about whatever you've done. And then if you want to meet somebody in some place, all of the pavilions that we have out here have a tag in front of them, so they all have a name, and that name is what you can use to ask people to come there to join you there. What else is there to say? The agenda, you will find all of the agenda on liferay.dev/24. You won't find the agenda here for or there for Thursday. What is that about? So Thursday, we are repeating the unconference, which we had so far at DEF CON since 2013-ish. I'm just guessing here. And the unconference is an opportunity for you to get together with everybody who attends, suggest your own topics, and then work on those topics. The agenda is deliberately completely empty until the first hour of the meeting. of the unconference. That's why it's an unconference and not a conference. If you've ever been at a conference, at an unconference, that's what I wanted to say. If you've ever been at an unconference, then you will know the drill. You can bring your own topic, you can ask your own questions, and then organize a session in. We're planning to do that in one of the pavilions. And we can have as many sessions as we want throughout the whole Thursday. Now I'm curious, if you find your emojis, there might be an emoji that says either thumbs up or index finger up. Who has been at one of the past in-person unconferences? We had them at DEF CON, and we had them at least one North American symposium that I'm aware of. So Louis says yes. Jose says yes. But apparently not too many others. Oh, there's one more. Was that Yuri? So those aren't too many. Vladimir as well. Okay, so a couple of people are only now finding the emojis, or the stream delay is quite long. We'll be introducing you to the ground rules, to the procedure on Thursday with the beginning of the unconference. And then it's up to you to organize that day. If you plan coming, but you can't come for all of the meetings and for all of the day, my advice or my recommendation is to join early, to join during the agenda building, and then schedule whatever is interesting for you during the time that you can attend. So the magic happens during the very first hour. I'm wondering what else should we do? Well, this is called the grand opening, so we might as well have a grand opening. I'm just wondering, what do we do in order to have a grand opening? There's one thing missing. As I told you, this is grassroots organization. There is not much fanfare there, but we might as well get going with a little bit of tension. Or should I use the other suspense button here? Well, either way. Oh, did the stream freeze for me or for everybody? No, there it is again. Either way, I cannot go without saying thank you to the whole team that is organizing it. I happen to be the face of this opening. And we've had a couple of people from the team having to drop out for actual work that is paid, and for various other things. The whole team that has built and helped organize Dev 24, I'm deeply thankful for them, for each individual helping out, donating their time, volunteering their time, and also to their managers, allowing them to volunteer their time, which is work hours, but it's not our job. So none of the people who have organized this is in any of Liferay's event team, technically. That being said, Louis, is there anything that I have forgotten? Well, hold on a second. I've just said there's a whole team, and I do not want to just mention the team, but I want to say thank you for helping organizing it all, because I wouldn't be able to do all of this and then be on time and still have everything scheduled. And even this way, it's still stressful, and we might run into some glitches. Bear with us. We'll see where this all goes. Now, Louis, is there anything that we should have in the grand opening?
I don't see any other information that we could share in the grand opening. Apart from maybe talk a bit about the agenda and what's for the next 2 days that are planned, and not the third one that is unplanned yet. But what we could expect from those 2 days, basically, maybe just summarize what we have.
Yeah.
Like the grand themes that we could expect from this. There's a lot of things about objects, obviously, as we're moving to a low-code era, and how to with objects is there's another theme around that, which is maybe the big picture is how to extend Liferay in a new way. Like how could I, save the core of Liferay, avoid, touching it, making my upgrades harder and harder, but still have this flexibility to extend it. So it's a lot around that, and it doesn't, stay on objects, but it's also mentioning a lot of around like themeless design, client extensions, and other little gems that we might not know about, and I actually discovered in the agenda. Like, when you're used to have some service locator or things like that used in your templates, how can you move away from that? So it's a lot of the little questions we have here and there in our projects that might be answered with this agenda. Olaf, are you excited about some talks for those 2 days?
I am. For the history of me pushing a couple of features, there is one. Well, there's a lot, because I've told you about my motivation to get Dev.24 started, which is have people sit down with me and explain what they have built. And that's exactly what's happening. So basically, all of them are what I'm deeply interested in. Now, there is one that I've specifically recruited, which is the walkthrough, which is a new feature that is preparing basically individual items on the screen to be pointed out as a walkthrough. And I have built something like that in the medium past, so not the far past, but like I've built something like that, and I'm very curious to see what feature is now finally built into the product. And there's so many other things that some of them I have specifically recruited and asked, hey, can you please explain this? But this one was the last. I think this was the last one who agreed to come on board. So I'll be happy to learn about that feature soon. Okay, with this, let me see if you. Oh, there's one more item. You might be aware of our community Slack. I see many names that I recognize from community Slack. So you can see that on liferay.dev/chat if you haven't. Otherwise, you'll know where the community Slack is. On community Slack, you find a channel that is called Event Dev.24. So if you have anything that you really want to be heard, to be available for everyone, or if you want to just toot the horn and say, "Hey, we're here," you can use that, as well as any chat that you find within the world here, within this work adventure world. But this won't be persisted. The community Slack will be a little bit more persistent. Now, that being said, we have 10 minutes until the scheduled start of the very first presentation. Should we give you some time to explore the world? Should we give you some time to find some coffee? Actually, yes. Let's mention the world exploration, and let's mention all of the coffee and all of the food. Everything you find, all of the food, all of the drinks. We really have tried to make sure that this is something that everybody can enjoy. Drinks are free, food are free. So whatever you find in your fridge, in your kitchen, or on your desk, enjoy. Feel free, and feel free to have it. And we hope that we have matched your taste. All of that is free and good for you. Now, 10 minutes left until the first presentation. Let's give you some time to explore the world, find a pavilion that you like. Just try to enter one of those Jitsis, talk to someone, and be back in, now it's only 8 minutes, and then we'll actually start the presentation. We'll keep the stream running, but I would say most likely nothing much will happen during the next 8 minutes until we start. And now we'll need a break music.
Oh, yes.
Jeopardy, I think there's a Jeopardy theme song, but I don't know if we will be taken down with a copyright strike if we actually play that. So we better don't. We'll just keep it quiet here. That being said, audience, feel free to run around, roam around, or listen to us preparing. I'm looking at the agenda and the very first speakers. Is that Igor and Sergio? I have too many browsers and too many tabs open. But I think it was Igor and Sergio. If you're in the audience, feel free to come up on stage and prepare, set everything up, connect to the projector. Yes, indeed. It's Igor and Sergio. If you're somewhere here, come up. And other than that, feel free to refill your coffee. I'll be on mute now. There you are. Feel free to set up.
Okay.
Sergio,
Yeah.
you just share your screen. I'll share mine after you.
Let me share it. Okay. You can see that?
Yes.
Okay.
Olaf, it is so quiet here.
Yeah, that's the one difference. We cannot hear the audience, but we can make them wiggle.
Okay, okay.
So we gotta rely on emojis and optical feedback rather than acoustic feedback.
Okay.
There's only so much that virtual space can do for us.
Tick, 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 tick.
Okay.
I have to ask Mattia, do you see the stream?
I do see the stream. Yes, you're on.
Okay.
Okay.
We have 2 more minutes or we are live?
We are live and we have 2 more minutes.
Okay.
So all of this is live. And we will have proper chapter marks after this recording so that we can skip forward to the next chapter. But right now we can only skip to the kitchen and refill coffee.
Okay.
Okay.
So let me see what we have here.
And do we know how many attendees we have? 10,
Right
20?
now, well, you can see them.
I can count. 1.
You can count them.
Okay.
So, okay. Refill this. It's time. And my computer is still reloading something what I need. So we are going to open a second grand opening with a first presentation opening. So please make sure to, number 1, listen. Number 2, make note of your questions because we can cover those questions later on. You can either ask them on community Slack, or if you want to, you can come on stage after this presentation and ask that question. And when they're done, you can also just bring them to one of the pavilions. Igor and Sergio are talking about integrating and exchanging data, and they are wizards in the use of the REST APIs and integration of external tools and so on. So this starts off with one of the sessions that Louis actually mentioned, which is the Liferay Objects story. So I would say with that, something about objects? Nah. Integrate and exchange data. Welcome, Igor and Sergio.
Okay. So thank you very much, Olaf. So first of all, I'm going to make a small introduction. I think that you can see my screen. So hello, everybody. My name is Sergio Jimenez, and with my partner Igor Besley, we are going to here in this meeting just to talk about integrate and exchange data. A little bit presentation. What we are going to show you is the latest improvements in data integration infrastructure. With the help of the APIs, REST API, and some other REST technical tools, what we are going to do is just to manage and create some library objects design. And the final presentation that will be made by Igor. So we are going to do a recreation of the environment production that will be done locally, but it could be also published as a product. So for the first part, this is what I am going to do first. That is manage Liferay objects using the batch engine. Many of you knows what is batch engine. Batch engine is a framework that enables us just to import and export a chunk of data. So what we are going to use here in our Liferay portal is the import export center. And here I'm going to manage Liferay objects in two ways. First of all, I'm going to use I'm going to import a Liferay object definition that I'm going to do in a manual way. But later, this data that is stored in another part of the system is going to be imported, but in a non-manual way. So I am going to use a standard tool. Yes. So let's move on to the portal. Okay. So this is Liferay portal. Okay. So it is new. So I don't have any other data. So what I'm going to show you first of all is just how well these two files that I'm going to import. This is the Liferay object definition that I'm going to import. That is a stock that contains a lot of companies that comes from Croatia. Okay. So here in this object definition that I'm going to import manually. So if we go here, we're going to import it using the import export center. And here what we want is to import a file. I'm going to select my file, that is this EI stocks object definition, open it, and select the entity. So this is an object definition. So let's click on here, okay. And you can see the import mappings. Here in the import mappings, it's going to appear all the optional fields and the required fields that you can see, and you can switch the source file field. So perfect, let's go next and start import. You can see it's going to turn right. It has been imported successfully. How can we figure out? So if we go here and we click here in the xstocks, it appears xstock, that is the object definition that has been imported in a manual way, as I remember. And if we go to the objects portlet, you can see that, yeah, it is imported and it's also published, okay? Right. So we have now the object definition imported. So what about the data that we want to import, but in a non-manual way? So first of all, I'm going to show you this JSON that has a lot of data. As you can see, it has a lot of data. And I'm going to import in a non-manual way just to show you how can we import, but using an external tool. So here, first of all, I'm going to show you how to do it. So we go again to the import export center, and we are going to import a file. Here, select the data, the file, and once it has been selected, I'm going to show you that we have to select the C stock object definition that we have imported recently, right? And you can see that it happens with the Liferay object definition stock. So you can see that there is a lot of required fields and some other fields that you can see some examples. But instead of importing manually and clicking next, I'm going to save it as a template. And I'm going to click here, that is going to be C stock. Save it. Yeah. Here, if we go back and we select to the template, you can see that this template has been created successfully. Okay, so to import it in a non-manual way, what I'm going to create and use is the job scheduler. So the job scheduler is a framework that enables Liferay server admins just to manage all the scheduled tasks in a Liferay instance. So here, what I'm going to show you is how can we import these Liferay object entries, but in a non-manual way, and it's going to be by external tool that is an implementation of the dispatch task executor. So this is the main portlet, that is the job scheduler trigger, and I'm going to create a new one that is the import export executor. With this type, I'm going to select a name that will be job scheduler F24, right? We save it, okay? And here, this is the main the main part of the options. Here in details, what I am going to write in this text area is all the properties that we need to import this data that is going to be injected in this C stock definition. Here we have the logs, and finally we have the job scheduler trigger. So this job scheduler trigger, what I'm going is to configure a cron expression in which it's going to indicate at which time or at which time is going to execute this job scheduler. So first we have to move on to the details. Okay. So in these details, we need two properties that is going to be appear in batch planner dispatch task executor task that extends from base dispatch task executor. As I told you, that is an implementation of the dispatch task executor. So here, what we need is the batch planner plan ID. So this batch planner plan ID, what is going to point is the template ID that we have saved previously. So we are going to go to there, and we go to the import export. We select the template that we have imported previously. And here we select the ID. Perfect. And now the second parameter is the external file URL. That is the external URL that it's going to import from our system. So let's copy, select the equals, and here, as you can see, in my console, if we click ls, we have the EI stock object definition JSON, and this is the data. So let's move on. PW, perfect. We click here, slash, and the name of the data. We save it. Okay, so our properties has been defined properly, and we are going to use the job scheduler trigger. So one point that I want to mention, so this job scheduler, what it's going to interpret or it's going to simulate a FTP protocol. So I'm going to show you how it's going to work this job scheduler, and because this scheduler is going to take this file and is going to be disappear in a background stage. So okay, so this is the configuration of the job scheduler trigger, and I'm going to click a job cron expression, and this has been it's just defined by me just to show you which cron means. So this means that in the instance of this second zero, that is going to be in the minutes every 2 or in 2 and 0 minutes, okay? And then we don't care about the days, the months, and the year. So here we save it, and we are going to active and see what happens with the job with the logs. Okay, we save it. Yep, okay, so it has been importing successfully, and I'm going to stop because it has been importing successfully we don't care about it. So, and if you can see here, if I click ls or just going to the UI, you can see that here the CI stocks data has been disappeared. As I told you, that it simulates a FTP protocol. So if we go here and see that it has been imported successfully, and we go to this stocks objects, you can see here that all of them has been imported in a non-manual way using this job scheduler. Okay, so right, so let's move on to my partner Igor. Okay, so your turn.
Hey, hi everyone. What Sergio missed out to say is that this part where we schedule a particular import-export template is something that we haven't ever demoed to anyone. It's not even, I think that even our product managers are not aware about it, because it requires, as Sergio showed you, clicking some IDs on UI, then going to source code. But what you have seen for non-technical users, it should be soon improved in a way that we will probably ask for some user experience designer to help us make user interface for this. So it will be available not just to developers, but also to business users. And now I'll take over and let me share my screen. Okay, I hope that okay, I'm sharing it. I have almost the same. I have same object. I'm sharing object with Sergio. What we did, we created object in just a second. It would be good to sign in here. So what we really did, and what I think it's really at least it helps us here in a Liferay. You know, when we are doing QA, we just share some data with our QA, and it's more fluent than ever before. So we just created this object. Those are those fields. I hope that majority of you are already introduced with this. So what we did, we just cancel. We just exported that definition. So basically, you can import that definition either through this menu in Liferay Objects, and we really pay a lot of attention and took a lot of care to make sure that import-export works on a perfectly same JSON structure as our other exporters does. So that's Sergio did demo for it. What's next here? So idea was to show you that you can have some folder which would be loaded with the files with FTP, and you can just schedule and say in that import-export executor, dispatch executor, you just point to particular template and provide to just put more data into our model. We had idea, okay, let's then now pull some other stock exchanges. Unfortunately, I tried with a couple more exchanges, but only VN has CSV data, which show up as a problem because import-export cannot do too much to data. So we cannot do any transformation. Here I have example where, okay, I'm sharing here. So what we did, we took those some stock, US stocks. We put it in a Google spreadsheet. I went and check API for Google spreadsheet and figure out, okay, I have to copy this data, but I need to do some transformation. And what we do and what we suggest to our customers to do to take Talent. We still use a very old version of Talent Designer to design jobs. This is just a quick presentation. So I had to set up job, which refers to that. I know probably this is small. Let me just check if I can do any zoom here, and I need a way to. It's not working at my machine. Let me. I just okay. So this is a native Talend component which is used to read file in JSON format, and you can provide like JSON query expression, which will match the particular. What I want to do, I just want to show you the structure of this file. Just a second. I think I have it here. So this one is there, and this one could give you a. I hope that's the one. Okay. So I just want to show you structure of JSON that serves this UI here. So what could be problem in import export, which just expects from you to copy, to map data one-to-one. So it was C stock. Okay. So you could just pick okay, something like this. So okay, we have minor. Okay, yeah, something like here. You cannot do anything more. I could not tell import export to skip this first array, and that's why we had to use Talend Job Designer, where we just made expression that matches this structure here. So values and whatever is in it, it is array, and give me those array elements here. And then each array element, 0 element up to 7, is mapped to the column which we created here and gave it. So everything is string. The next step was to filter out this first element, which is not data, it's just the header values. So we use this filter row, where we said just take those where position element is not position. And then fine. Okay, I'm intentionally skipping mapping component here. I will get back to it. This one refers to our DXP instance. We are referring to CStocks endpoint, and here, okay, this is what we have. Which endpoints we have for the CStocks. We are using by external reference code, update by external reference code. I'm not touching anything here because I'm not going to. I have already deployed everything, so it's not mission important now. And so basically, this endpoint has structure like this. This is out of structure. And now we need something to map data between those strings on the left and exact DXP structure on the right. And this tmap component does it in this way. So basically, if you take okay, don't be scared when you see my user interface. This is how Talend looks like in a Mac OS. It looks much better in a Windows environment. It's based on Eclipse, so, and it's very old, 2015. So I'm really happy that it works here. So you can either directly map component. You can use this expression builder. You see when I mark this row, it will say that it uses company column here. I will open this builder. This is trick that refresh panel, and then you see the expression. So I want to build the external reference code using company column. I know that it is unique because it is stock symbol. And then I refer to that external reference code. I will say just copy it to column external reference code that I expect back for our custom object. Okay, and so it's true. I tested it. I did it couple, let's say 10 times until everything went smooth. When you are ready, you just you have that build job option, which builds zip file that you can deploy to DXP. Before it, I will just say that we have some context variables here, which are just this one, and this one is necessary. Required. The other one, it's because I copy paste some other objects, so those are completely irrelevant. And now let me show you what is that like in DXP. I'll go to the scheduler, job scheduler, perfect. And so this is that one. I mentioned the user and password. I also forget to hard code Liferay host URL. So basically, that's also in part of configurable data that you have to you have to offer user to enter what's the URL of their instance. So okay, we have everything. For those who were not had no chance to try, okay, it is something talent. Just to see, okay. Whenever you have a talent trigger that has no talent job design uploaded, you will see that job is incomplete. Now I will just go to that special tab for it, and I will try to locate zip. This is zip. Okay. Save. Perfect. Then what I do, I just remove. Okay, now you are seeing something that we will fix. It's our on our to-do list. It is like fifth element. So we have to make it possible to mask this password here, or whatever security credentials user is using. So I need user and password and nothing else. Okay, so that's it. Okay, this is example how you schedule your talent. Okay, no any execution. Sergio show you what you have to do to schedule it. I go to this one which is running, and in my logs. Okay, great. One is in a progress. Other is a failed. So just one note, during design, I used this setting here, which says, so you can check die on error, which means whenever first time something fails, just stop, or you just continue. What failed, don't care, just continue further. So basically, it will say that it failed, and it's okay, but actually it failed just for one row, which where I haven't provide good mapping function to remove this 1000 separator from a number. Basically, I should do it here. What I have done, I just provided some naive expression to replace those commas, but obviously something hasn't been well here. Okay. Okay. So I see some issues, but also I see that there are other successful insertions. And now we can go to my stocks. Perfect. If you wonder why we have duplicates here, I know Sergio probably was not aware of it, because I just copy pasted twice that file so that we have more than 10 rows in our example here. So if I go further, okay, now I have some US stocks here, and it's executed every 2 minutes. So basically we don't have time, but if I go here and let me see, do I have this? Let me try check. So one. I don't know. Okay, I don't have permission to update this file. But if I update it, I can even. You can go to scheduler. Job scheduler, and you can instead to wait the scheduled interval, you just run it here. Stocks data. No, I need this one. And let me see in my log. Yeah, it's running. And just for those who have never done anything in job scheduler, basically this log is available also here. And no, pardon. Click. This is talent. Logs. Maybe I should find some that. Okay. So we have error and we have standard output. Basically, whenever we have error available here, we mark the execution as a failure. So sometimes we will work out on user experience. Okay, now, okay, we are on a time, but I don't know, questions, answers. Olaf, what is the plan for, here is Olaf. Hey.
Thank you, Igor. And Sergio.
Okay.
Now let me, you have a little bit more time. Let me check if we didn't have any questions coming in yet that I have seen. So no. If there are any questions, feel free to add them to the community Slack, to the event dev24 channel. I have opened a thread there, so you can just add them there.
Do we have some direct link to that, or to that Slack channel for a lazy one like me who just, you know?
For the lazy one, I would say the link is liferay.dev/chat. And well, you don't need to access it. I will read the questions to you if they are there. But so far there is none. However, I have a question, which is you have demonstrated one of my pain points, that is exporting data from objects.
Okay.
And we have all of our registration for this event in objects, and I ran into exactly the same issues. Like, how do I get to all of that data? So thank you. You have solved the problem.
Okay.
We have also worked on that. So we've had to figure it out. Now we have a reference that I can look at in future. I have one question. Number one, I was really happy to hear that you are demonstrating something that none of the product managers know about yet.
Yes.
So that's great. So we have an exclusive first here, and now more pressure to actually support it even better.
Yeah. Actually, we try to present the idea, but when you start going to code and clicking some IDs, they are just like, oh, come on, stop. Let's do it next week, and that next week is like it never comes, So
Yes, yeah, absolutely. I do understand that.
yeah.
Now, one more question or an ask that I can maybe forward. There is, well, you have shown a couple of user interfaces that are really hard to explore. So the talent, what's it called? The talent screen, the batch manager screen. They basically, if you open them, they provide you with a big input field. I was like, yeah, enter something here.
Yeah, which is like area to provide. So when you design a talent job, it offers you to define a list of input variables to that flow, which are like usernames, URLs, and all other data that is not known in a runtime. Basically, that huge, because even when I want to offer in a DXP user interface for user to like populate those fields, not just me, there was a couple more colleagues. So we were like, okay, should we go and build some to rely on some clay components, etc. We just have time passing by, and then we decided let's go with that properties panel and just go, and it's easy, to parse values from that. And since that, I would say many technical users, they don't care, because they don't have fancy user interface. So it's still like that.
Okay.
I have to warn everyone that when we are that's just like a small digression. When we are talking about Liferay Objects, because Liferay Objects is still like under heavy development, and let's say it's like company's priority number one. So sometimes they don't care about what we do, So it ends up that import-export works perfectly with service builder generated entities. For Liferay Objects, in some areas we have some issues, but it's just because we always we are like a step behind Liferay Objects team. They bring some decision, they do implementation, they break our tests. Then we are aware about that update, and we just go and try to update algorithms or patterns that are handling those cases. So what we demo, that's present in our master now. So you check out build, you have it, this what you saw out of the box. But it might happen that sometimes you bump onto some glitches, but it's because it's constant, Liferay object has update, then we just run and provide our update to support what they do. I think it will be better in a future, because we recently data integration and headless team merged. So basically we are now sharing knowledge, and as you see, we have our Sergio was in a headless, but now he learned about all assets in data integration, and we will just be better.
Okay, so there's one more thing that I would like to add, because those user interfaces, like coming back to how I opened, those user interfaces are really hard to explore. They just provide you with an input field, like a text area with multiple lines, and me as someone non-initiated, I'm just getting that input field, and it's like, yeah, this is our batch engine. So
yeah.
hold on. The suggestion that I have, because we're running out of time, and Luis and Carlos are already on stage. So what I would just like to suggest is there is this Liferay Learn message or documentation tag that you can use, where you can open just the input field, which is necessary, and also link to the documentation, so that we don't have to find this video to figure out, oh, how do we enter? What do we enter here? If you just enter that and then link to the documentation right from the page, it will be so much easier to explore.
Okay.
And that is something like really selfish. But to me, like, imagine a presentation of an input field with no other hint. I don't know, but like, and you have demonstrated, and now I know that I find it here, but everybody else might not know, or many other people might not know.
Okay.
Anyway,
Olaf, I will contact you later to tell me about how to do it. That's I heard something about it, but I haven't invested any time to just provide those links to the community.
I'll be happy to share that.
Okay, thank you.
Now, with that, have you picked any pavilion that you would like to be in or on, in case somebody has some other questions?
No.
No,
because we are completely lost. We
and I would say, if anybody wants to talk to you, just you guys stick together, walk off of stage, and pick one of the pavilions and see if somebody follows you. And if they follow you, then you have your opportunity.
Run for your life.
And don't separate.
Okay.
Stick together for a while, and then you can talk to someone who is following, who is stalking you. And
so
with that,
we should just find the room, and whoever follows us, we will talk there.
Exactly. And if nobody follows you, all the better. But so you might have answered all of the questions.
Okay.
With that, let's carry on in the schedule, because we have on the stage Luis and Carlos.
Okay.
And both in the same room. That is something rare during this event, I guess. But let's see. Do you have an opportunity to zoom in a little bit more, or?
No, I don't think so, because it's the camera is automatic.
Okay. Yeah. Well, perfect. Then we'll keep you in a smaller format. But as soon as you're talking, the camera actually is a little bit easier to read. Click to REST. There we are, from no code to a REST API. So both of you are continuing on the headless stuff, where we are nothing else but heads in this virtual world. Then at least the presentations are about all of that headless stuff. And I'd be curious to see what you have to say about that area of the code that I am not too familiar about. So I would say take it away, and let's go. Click to REST.
Yeah. So first of all, thank you everyone for coming to see this talk. We really want you to enjoy it. So who are we? My name is Carlos Correa. I joined Liferay in February of this year, and I've been working in headless since then.
And my name is Luis Miguel Barcos. I've been working in Liferay for 4.5 years. I've been part of the screens team, front-end infrastructure, global services, and now I'm part of the headless team since 2020. So let's see the example that we are going to work in this talk. We are going back to the university. We will have three main entities. That will be a university, a subject, and a student. University and subject will be custom objects, and students will be a special object that is system. That means that is a representation of the Liferay users. How we are going to relate all of these entities? Well, we are going to have simple relations between university and students, where the university can have a lot of students, but the students can only join one university. and the students can study a lot of the subjects, and subjects are studied by a lot of students. So let's go to see our magic. And this is our Liferay instance. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to explain all of the tools that I am going to use. This is my Liferay instance. Here I have the Liferay API Explorer, that maybe you know it, but it's a page where you can see all the endpoints and all of the REST applications that we have in Liferay. Some REST application that we are going to use is object administration, developed by the object team. Here we can also execute our queries and so on. So also, as I don't have a lot of time to type all the requests, I'm going to use POW, now called Rapid API, that is like a postman, where I can send all the requests. On the top, you will see the URL. Here it is, the body of the request, and on the right, you will see the response. Okay, so let's start with our entities. I'm going to create through the UI our university. So we have to go to the objects control panel, and let's create our new object that is university. Let's see, let's create our university. University is created, and now we have to add a new field. There is some fields that are created by default, and now we just to add our university name, that is the type text. Click on save. Going back to details, I want to use as a detail field the university name, and I'm going to put the universities under the users in the control panel. So if I click on publish and revisit our control panel, you will see the universities here. So what happened? What just happened? What is that magic? If I go back to our API Explorer and click on the REST applications, you will see a new REST application that adds universities. This is a completely functional REST API. I can go here, execute the query, and it works. Okay, nothing is retrieving because there are no universities yet. But also we can create object definition, because the university, what we create is an object definition. We can also create that with the object administration APIs, because maybe you want to relate Liferay with external systems. So we can create our subject through the UI. So making a post request to the object administration object definition with this body, I click on run, and here you have the response of my subject. I need the ID because I only create the subject, but, oops, sorry, going back, it's not published, it's just created as draft. To publish it, I copy this ID of the object definition, go to this new URL, and publish it. It's working on it. Okay, now it's published. If I reload the page to see that it's approved, and if I go back to the API Explorer, let me reload the page to reload the dropdown, and here it is, our subjects. Okay, a new headless API that is completely functional. So now we have our university, our subject, and if you remember, we are going to use the user of Liferay as students. So here we have our users that will be our students. So now we need to relate all of the objects. We go to the university again, click on relationships, and we can add a relationship that could be university students, for example. It will be, if you remember, a one-to-many relationship, which user that will be the students. Click on save, and here is my relationship. We can also create the relationship through the API. So going back to POW, I can create an object relationship with this endpoint, object definition slash the object definition ID slash object relationship. Which will be the object definition ID? The subject object definition, which is this one that I have here for the past request. I can set it here and here, and I'm going to relate to the users. So I need the object definition of the users, I can get it through the APIs, which is this ID. Click here, and I'm creating the relationship. Point that this is a many-to-many. I set it here in the body, and if I go back to our subject object and the relationship, here we have the many-to-many relationship with users. That will be our student. Okay, nothing magic happened, maybe you are thinking, but this is not true. If we go back to our university, let me reload the page. Go back to the universities. At the end of all endpoints, there are new endpoints automatically generated to manage all the relationships. We have an endpoint to get all the students of a university. We have an endpoint to associate new students to a university and get the students and associate with the external reference code. Same thing for subjects. Here is the new endpoints to get all the students that are studying a subject. For example, all the students that are studying math. Same endpoints to associate. But what happened with the students? Because we don't have a proper object for the students. We have users. Okay, if you don't know, we have a dedicated REST API for users in Liferay that helps admin user. And if I search for subjects, there is also in an API that came out of the box with Liferay, we have new endpoints to check all the relationships. For example, if I put here a new user account, which will be a user account of a student, we can get all the student subject of that student. So I'm going to create some students with a batch endpoint. I'm going to create some the students 1, 2, 4. Let me create it. And now I have to create the universities and the subjects. But let me create one university that will be Oxford, for example. If this is loading, okay. Oxford. Click on save. But how can I relate the students with the university? Because I don't have any option right now. Well, this is because we need a layout. So going back to objects, university, we have a new tab that is layout. So we can create this layout that will be university layouts. This layout should be marked as a default. And I'm going to clean the tabs. This is a little bit strange, but then I'm going to, with the example, it's more clear. We are going to create a tab. We need a block. And in this tab, we are going to set all the fields of that university. So we only have one field, that is the university name. And I'm going to create a new tab for the relationship. In this tab, we will have the students of the university. We can only get one relationship, that is the students. And I create a tab with the university and the university name, and a second tab with the student and the students of that university. If I click on save and go back to my university, if I click on Oxford, now I have a tab with the university and the university field that is offered, and I can update this one, a new tab with the students. And in these students, I can select the students that I just create with my endpoint. So now, if I go back and create a university like Cambridge, for example, I click on save, the tab of the students is just created because we are using that layout. So I'm going to associate the other students. Okay. Same the layout, if you don't want to do it manually because you are working with an external system, you can create the layout from the object administration headless API. You just need the in this case the subject ID of the object definition, which is the first request, and we need to put the ID here and here, and also we need the ID of the relationship that we have between subjects and a student. That is this one that we just create in the other request. We need to put the object relationship here. In the body, we are just setting the tabs and the fields of the subject. And if I create this layout, now in my UI, I can create, for example, the subject English, and automatically I have the students that I can associate to that subject. For example, student number 2 and student number 1. But what happens if I have a lot of subjects that I don't want to create to add it one by one? Well, we have a batch endpoint that it auto-generated in that REST application that magically appears, where we can just create it using the batch endpoint. And now here it is, all of the subjects. Also, if you have a lot of information that you need to import to Liferay, remember, and we just see in the past talk, we have the import export center to import all of this information. So now we can just add more students to a subject, and let's try the REST applications. Let me get the user ID of the student, for example, student number 2. I'm going to click the ID, and let's test the input that we generate in the headless admin API. Remember, I want to get the subject that the student number 2 is studying right now. So if I click on execute, the response comes with the English class, the English subject, sorry, and the physics. So it's working perfect, and there is no line of code that we need to do all of this. If I go to our universities, in the first endpoint, I can get all the universities, like for example, we have Oxford and we have Cambridge. And for example, let's get the ID of Cambridge. And which students we have in Cambridge? Well, we can put here the ID, execute, and here it's all the students that are in Cambridge, that are student 4 and student 3, I think. And same thing for subjects. We can get all the subjects here. There is all the subjects with the actions, with all the common properties that we send in Liferay. And if I get the ID in this case for the subject English, let's go to our endpoint to see the subjects that the students that are studying subjects, the English in this case. We have the student number 1 and the student number 2. So we have 3 entities that we are populating with a lot of data, with a lot of functionality in the REST APIs that are working with no line of code. So how is all of this magic? How we do all of this magic? Well, my partner Carlos will reveal all of this magic that we are doing here. So Carlos, I'm going to stop sharing.
So thank you, Luismi, for the first part. Well, so now it's time to reveal the magic. So which is the entry point of everything? So here in Liferay portal, well, I'm going to show a bit of code just to let you know how everything works behind. So this is like the entry point of an object definition deployment. So so every service that implements this interface and is registered in OSGI will be called every time an object definition is deployed. When the object definition is published or activated, because once the object definition is published, we have the options to activate or deactivate that object. And the deploy method will be invoked when the object definition is deactivated or removed. So here, in our case, we can see here how many implementations are in the Liferay portal. In our case, it's the object REST import module. So here is where the magic starts. So here in the deploy method is invoked when the object definition is created or activated. So it depends if the object definition is a system object or a custom object, we do different things. For custom objects, first of all, we register a JAX-RS application in OSGI for each new object published or reactivated. So here we set a few properties, and we initialize the object entry application, that is the class that extends the JAX-RS application. We register with the OSGI JAX-RS name, that in our case is the object definition name. Once this application has been registered, we also register all the services and dependencies that the JAX-RS application needs, such as JAX-RS resources, exception mappers, etc. Associating it to the JAX-RS application recently created. So here, once the application has been created and deployed with these properties and the OSGI JAX-RS name, so we also deploy all these classes, all these dependencies with the same name in order to provide a full REST API. So this is for deploy. For the undeploy method that is invoked when the object definition is deleted or deactivated, we do like the opposite things. I mean, we deactivate or we unregister all the service registrations that has been created in the activate method. So I think, well, what happened with system object? With system object, the flow is a bit different. As Luismi said, we currently have a JAX-RS application in this example, for the users, the headless admin user. So we don't have to create another JAX-RS application, but what we do is we register a new resource that will be included for the existing JAX-RS application, and that resource will provide the functionality of managing the relationships with that system object. In our example, for example, for the user, we will get the students that the subjects that each student has. So let's debug. So I'm going to create a new object. For example, okay. So as the object has not been deployed yet, the method is not still invoked. Just a text field. Once I publish the object, this method is invoked. So as the object definition is not a system, so in this case, so here we create this application, we register in OSGI, and also the rest of the classes that we need, as the exception mappers, the resource, etc. So the object has been already published. So if we go to the Open API, we will see another REST API for the new object. Here. So the thing happened with the deploy method. So let's go to new object. For example, if we want to deactivate the object definition, just save, and all this, all the REST API will be unregistered and destroyed. So now if we go to, it's not found, and the JAX application is not available anymore. So I'm going to show you as well from the system object side, which is the class that is managing the request over the relationships elements. So, for example, here we will get all the users. Well, yeah. So I'm going to filter to get the student number 2, and with this ID. I will try to get all the subjects that this student studies. So here, the request goes to this resource class that has been deployed by the deploy method when the system object was registered. So here we execute. Yeah. So we can see that this student studies English and physics. And what happened when we try to get a fake relationship, a relationship that does not exist of this student? This method is also called, but when we try to recover the object relationship, it fails. It throws an exception, and the exception mapper will throw and will manage that exception and will return and follow for HTTP code with a not found message. So now we can see a similar approach, but from the object side. In this case, this other endpoint. So we will try to get, well, without filtering, we will get all the universities, in this case, Oxford and Cambridge. We want Oxford. Well, I can show you that filtering is available. So with Oxford, we will get the ID, and we will try to get all the students that are studying in this university. So here, this method is invoked and the same. I mean, this will return all the students that are there, that are studying in Oxford. So it's also interesting. Here in the Google Shell, we can check the JAX application that are available in the Liferay portal with this command. So here, sorry, we can see here there's a university application in this path that is available. So now, also the magic of this is if we go to Liferay, and we just, for example, deactivate the university, well, the undeploy method is invoked, it's executed properly. So if we go to the Coco cell now and execute again the command, we can see that there is no REST API for university. And that's all. All this functionality is under development currently. So we had to configure some feature flags because we are still finishing the developments. So from the update 33 of version of Liferay version 7.4, you will be available to test all this functionality just by configuring the proper feature flags. But soon it will be available for everyone without the feature flag as well.
Nice. Speaking of soon, we haven't talked yet about the the not so new anymore release schedule. So what is the order of, what's the unit that you're measuring soon in? Is that weeks? Is that months?
It depends. I'm going to say weeks because all of this is working. So it's on the update 53, I think it is, under a feature flag. But it's we released it under a feature flag because maybe we find something that we need to change, and this is APIs. We don't want to break the clients their code, so we need to be really sure that we are releasing all in a stable moment, and I'm going to say weeks, I hope, but I don't want to answer everything.
Okay, that makes sense. We have one question from Jose, and he is asking, how can the REST endpoints be secured? Is that based on roles without coding?
You or me? No. Every endpoint needs to be with a user and a password. If you can use basic auth, but we don't recommend use basic authorization in production, you can use OAuth. So you need to configure the OAuth authentication, and you are going to be authenticated, and then you will get a token to authorize all the calls. And also, when Liferay knows who we are, I mean which user it is, then the roles enter to filter if you can, for example, create an object, update an object, or so on. If your role don't have that permission, you will not able to update, and the endpoint will get you unforbidden or whatever. So there is like two levels. First, Liferay needs to know who you are, and then when Liferay knows who you are, the roles will tell you if you have the permissions to make an update or not.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that answered the question.
Okay. I can attest to that because we have this the registration for Dev.24 on Liferay Objects, and so there are the REST endpoints, and I have seen the activity that we needed to prepare or to provide the authentication authorization. I always mess those two up, and yes, they're coming through roles, they're coming through the identity, and OAuth is indeed working. Great. So, question to you two. Have you picked a pavilion where you would be willing and able to answer a couple of questions in case somebody has some? So can you name one of the pavilions, or should we just ask people to follow you?
But they can follow us, and in the next 30 minutes, we will have in, I don't know which pavilion. I think in Tokyo there is a room, I think.
Yes.
We can be in Tokyo if somebody has some questions.
Okay. Then see if somebody follows you to Tokyo. And if there are any questions, that would be great to have them right now. Use this to your advantage, because we don't want to just frontally present. We want to really foster interaction and interactivity. Thank you so much for your presentation. We've had a question in between, or I've had a question coming in between that said, is this whole event recorded? And yes, everything that you see in the audience is a YouTube stream. The YouTube stream is being recorded for eternity, or until the end of the world, whichever comes first. And yes, we will take some time to actually go through the chapters and link each individual chapter. So everything here is available later on. Well, thank you, Luis and Carlos.
Thank you, Olaf, and all the organization for this.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye.
And then, well, have fun in Tokyo, and we'll see if somebody follows you there. A question to the audience, because as we're streaming, is the screen resolution fine for everybody here? Can you easily see what is being shared, or raise the quality of the stream? If you can, give us a thumbs up. If you can, then that would be good. Or what do we do? Like wiggle around, move left, right. If you cannot see that, I see a couple of thumbs up. That is good. So, okay, perfect. We have our next guest and speaker here, and he is talking, or he's preparing to do something that not many people really look forward to, but apparently he does. Alberto, welcome.
Thank you very much, Olaf.
Alberto joined Liferay 11 years ago, started in support and as consulting, and started to deal with and fix upgrade issues from the very beginning. And apparently, he is one of those people who loves to solve those kinds of issues. So we're lucky to have him here, because he's now able to share his love with us, and why he likes upgrades, and why you might want to, or what you might need to do to like upgrades as well. And especially, how do you upgrade your Liferay installation successfully? Take it away, Alberto.
Thank you, Olaf. Yeah, it's not really common that people like upgrades or deal with upgrades, but in my case, I enjoy that. As you said, I like databases, are also like working with SQL performance, so that's why I am here. I talk in previous DevCons. I remember one in Amsterdam, really, really special. So let me share my screen to show you what I have for you. Okay. Let me see if it's working well. Okay.
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I suggested this talk because people and customers in the community are really worried about 7.4, and I understand them, because it's a huge change in the way how execute upgrade processes. So I would like to speak or to talk about that in these 30 minutes, to see if I can at least help people to encourage them to upgrade, or find ways to understand what's the proper way to upgrade our environment, right? The main point here is because we changed the way we release Liferay. Previously, we have long life or long time releases that were there for 1 year, 2 years. So now we have the rolling release process with updates every week. Sounds crazy. So I understand that people that concern. But I think we also put in the table some tools or some mechanism to allow you to upgrade easier, at least. And we are working on that. At least we have some, and we are working on more. So we have now we have to update more frequently. That's right. But it has a purpose. We have to offer new features earlier. We have to offer security fixes earlier. So that's why we did this change. And it's important to mention that there is also a new update regarding support, the support policy. Customers that are now in the TED24 maybe know, but we changed our policy. We had like 90 days to upgrade your environment. So 90 days to get hot fixes, and we changed that because we recognize that is not too much, at least for now. And we increased that for 180 days. So you have 6 months to update your 7.4 installation, and in that period you can receive hot fixes during that time. So we also understand the situation, but let me explain in the next slides why we did the change and how we can upgrade more frequent in an easier way, because that's the point. And if we get that goal, we are going to enjoy new features and improvements earlier, and that's a really good point. So I want to talk about the past, what we had in the past, and to see why we are here, why 7.4 did that change, and also talk about the future to be sure that you know the approaches you need to take to be sure that in the future you also are aligned about with the product, about how to implement new developments, how to execute upgrades. So that's also important to facilitate that process in the future. Okay, so to talk about that, I am going to show you something. So here you can see, probably, I don't know, probably maybe people, young people doesn't recognize the left side of this screen. This is 6.1. It was released 10 years ago. This one, 6.130, was released more than 9 years ago. So you can see the difference with 7.4. Some people may like it or may still like it because it looked really good in the past, but now it's a bit vintage, we can say. And we did a lot of changes to reach the 7.4, especially in the front end side. So, and also in the way we create content. So, for example, previously we have this menu to add the pages, to add we call them portlets or application in the past. So you can drag and drop, which was really important or really a nice feature. But we had to do a lot of things in the background, like create the templates for the columns, add a lot of code in the theme to be able to adjust this page to the proper style. Also add styles in portlets or create content and have DDM templates, right? We have to at the end code more things just to show the portlets in the proper way. So during the last 10 years, we have been working on changing that. So we go here, we see that there are much more options. So your web looks like better, at least in the how now we recognize modern websites. So we can also move the images, add HTML options, styles. Also here we can add fragments, with basic components, but also other more complex like menu displays, footers, different things. We also have what we had in the past, the application or portlet, now called widgets. We change the name every year or every 3 years, but this is the same. And we have other options like gray containers, master pages, style books. This is a good. So also here, adding content easily, also documents, images. So this is really powerful, as you can see. There is no, in some cases, you don't need code to create a modern website, right? So this is a huge difference with the past. The past was good, but time go fast, and we have to implement new things, especially in the front end, to make it to keep it modern and to improve or to get all the benefits from nowadays. And so also the navigation is more fluent. Here, with JavaScript, you don't need to refresh like in the past. So it works. I like it, the style in the past, but I think it's better right now. Okay. So I wanted to show you this comparison because we did a huge change, and you did it because you were working with us in the front end side and in the way we create pages, but we almost didn't change anything in the customizations apart from OGI for sure. So I think with 7.4 it's time to move to another level, to be able to create the same or traditional customizations via OGI, which are powerful and important and legit. I mean, they are valid in 7.4 and will be valid in the next releases, but there are other extensions that can be implemented with low code or client extensions, or we are going to see a lot of that in the next talks. Also in the previous talk, we reviewed that. So for example, service builder modules can be moved to objects, which has a lot of integration with other functionalities. Portlets and themes can use, especially themes client extensions with JavaScript code, or style books or master pages, which are fragments. So with all of that, we can create our style in the website, and it's. For example, I know that global services don't use themes anymore. They create modern websites without themes. So we have use cases about that. So that's the point. Moving to that will help you to focus on other development that maybe need extra code, maybe integrate with other platforms, whatever, and be able to iterate frequently, because we don't need to check only the JavaScript code, but it's not the same that using the service API. So it's going to, with all of this, little by little, the upgrades will be easier. Okay. So let me show you. I think Sergio already talked about the export import, so I didn't know that, but I would like to show something that you can do about how to migrate service builder modules. We also have a talk, I think, but something's really quick because it's important. So if we go to control panel to applications, I remember where is it? Okay, it's here. Sorry. So imagine that we have in the service builder in our 6.1, 6.2, or 7 something library, we have an entity for talks. So we can do that and create that the same in 7.4. And here, if we go to the object, we can add the columns. Let me add 3 columns quickly. Presenter, it's a string. Topic for the presentation, and maybe presentation. Okay. And so I created 3 columns, and I'm going to publish this. Okay, I'm going to show it. I'm going to show it in a section, in the content section. Okay, and publish it. I realized that Sergio also mentioned that there is a way to improve to import the definition with the import-export process. So that's a step that is good, because we shouldn't create the object as I did, but sometimes maybe you need to remove a column like a company ID or the group ID, depending on the scope of the object. You won't need that anymore, the company ID for the virtual instances or the group ID for the site. Okay, so let's add an import file, import from service builder. So this is going to be a common task for you. You move from service builder to objects. You choose, I have a table in MySQL here in dev, and I exported this table using the wizard just as a CSV file. And if we import right now, we're going to populate the table. And let me check what happened. Okay, the separator is this semicolon. Okay, so here the import window also match the field that has the same name. So we already pre-fill the column, but you can change it here or wherever. And if you click on next, you will import the data. Okay, this is something really useful when migrating from service builder. Okay, you are going to check. We are talking. I didn't know before, but the 3 talks we already presented here in the event talk about objects. So it's going to be the main topic, and we are going to talk more about that. And so it's important that you can use it, you can work with that, and also try to migrate to that. It's also good for your installation, because you have a lot of features related to that. It's a lot of integration. We are going to work on that and add more integration. So it's really is going to be useful for you. This is the imported data. Okay, so now if we come back to I show how to migrate from traditional customizations to the new ones. There are other ways for themes or for portlets, but take that into account. Think about that before the upgrade, because you can do that. You are going to save time, and you are going to be ready to update frequently. Okay. We have talked about customizations, but it's important the database. When we upgrade customization and the database. So now we have running releases. We have to try to automate that process. That is the final goal. The final goal. In the past, we require more manual tasks. Disable the search index, then enable it. Deep analysis of the log. Some database checks. That's require time. We have to try, and we are working on, in the upgrade team, we are working on trying to make this easier to automate the upgrade. So we are creating the log context. We are going to check it right, later. Also the upgrade report. We have different ways to upgrade. How to upgrade, probably for micro upgrades or minor small installations, and the upgrade tool when you need to do more verifications. In LXC, in cloud, we are adding functional test validations. They are automated. So at the end, what we want is to execute an upgrade automatically, and then validate everything also without interaction. So, and get a report about the result. If everything is good, maybe we can go live. So that's the process. That's the point where we need to reach. So It will take time for us also. So, but we have to start doing steps to reach that. Okay. So let me show you. If we go to the server where we were, I'm going to stop it. And I am going to copy. I have a backup here from the day 24. Backup. I'm going to copy over the same database I was using to execute an upgrade right now. And with that, we will see what's the log context. That's something, a concept for Log4j. They implemented a way to provide key value information for every trace in the log, and that can be read automated. Can be read for an application to provide useful information, report results. So it's important to know that. Okay, so I'm going to let me show you first how I. So this is the property array log context enable is set to true. For now, it's in lab mode. We have to add more some more improvements. We just you can use now, it's documented. You need to add XML in the portal, and just that's all, and start up with that. But it just tells you which lines are related to a grade, nothing else. But in the next updates, we are going to add more information. That's the good of having regular updates, right? So here, when the line is not related to upgrades, you get this information, nothing, because we cannot print anything in this for this situation. But we will get more information for the upgrade lines. For example, we have this. We have this is the basic what you get. This is an upgrade log, but this is a good point. So the result, you can get the result. The upgrade time is saying that this method or this upgrade process was completed, took that time. You can collect that information. You can measure which modules take more time. What is the errors? We are going to provide also other kind of information. So collecting all of that data, you can have the result, and you can automate everything. Okay. Let's come back to see also the reports. That I was using that for doing that upgrade because it makes more sense. Use that read tool. Also have the ability to create a report at the end of upgrade, adding this property is also documented. This is a feature that was implemented 1 year ago. We added more things, but it's not a fancy report. You will see here when executing the tool a new folder with all the reports depending on the time. And so if we take a look at one of them, I have one here. Let me show you. It tells you the build number, the schema version we need to reach, the database version, some important properties, the database size, and also the size of every table before and after the upgrade. Checking all of that, you can parse this, or even doing a manual evaluation, because you haven't automated yet the process. But having this, you will realize about, for example, what happened, which were the errors. Also, you need to clean up the database. You know that we have a cleanup portlet, but you also can implement different procedures to clean up some tables, right? And here you can see the longest build processes. So you can focus on, you have support, talk to support to see if this can be improved, or also you can also do something to improve the time, like database configuration. Sorry, the server is startup. So it's some information really helpful for you. And if you have feedback, I appreciate you tell me. Sometimes I am busy, but I try to check the channel, Slack channels, and also the forums, the old forums. So yeah, just let me know or open an LPS, create a proper company, because we also review the LPS with new features or feedback, so it's important for us. So we talk about the customizations, we talk about the database, what happened with the environment, the infrastructure. So previously, not last year because we already have Docker, but years before we only have bundles. The majority of 100% of the installation were on-premise. But now we have Docker and bundles that will help at least one additional option will help you to configure your environment in a different way. And we support multiple options on premise, official cloud environments like SaaS, our LXC, or PaaS, the old GSP cloud. I don't remember the name right now. And also, you can create your own cloud environment, probably using Docker images. So we have multiple options. They are you have to choose the one that is better for you, but all of them are valid for 7.4. Okay. And if we look at the future, I would like to show you what's ahead, what's next. So you can also take into account this to be able to implement your customization in the best way. So we are working really hard to add more and more integration with objects. You saw the previous talks. We are going to talk a lot about objects. You're going to get tired about objects, but the key point is we are investing a lot on that, in client extensions too, and low code. So it's the key for the next year. So we also wanted to automate upgrades. We are working on that in LXC. You can also do that, as we saw. We are in our team. We're also working on upgrading the performance improving the performance for upgrades. We have some tooling that for every database is published, but we are adding more information to configure the database to improve the performance. There is a property for MySQL that you can execute all the batches in one single statement. Luis Ortiz, who is working with me, realized about that, and that was a huge improvement. We're going to publish soon, but you can try it because it's a JDBC configuration for MySQL, but it's incredible. So just doing that, we are going to get better times. We wanted to categorize upgrades better, to have micro, minor, major, and know when to, with that information, okay, we know that this upgrade can take time. This is another micro upgrade. So no, the approach you have to take for depending on the situation. Most of them can be executed with zero downtime. That's incredible. But maybe a couple of per year need a downtime. I don't know, at least, or keep in safe mode your previous installation. So we want to work on that. And also, we implemented database partition. This is not official, and it's only for MySQL for now. So you can, it's not official, it's not supported. This is a really critical feature because it works with all the data, and we want to be sure that works perfectly before making it public. But if someone wants to know more about that, can reach me and we can talk. This database partition, you may know, all databases implement their own system, but we wanted to implement our own because the other requires a lot of modifications and move every company to its own schema. And we redirect all the requests to the proper schema depending on the company ID, okay? Depending on the virtual instance. We have that logic deep in the core just before going to the database to avoid errors. And it's working well so far in our testing. It's been tested in cloud, in LXC. So it's promising, but and it helps us to separate data for security reasons, to better maintenance, to improve the performance too, because there is not too much data in the same table, because we have different database schemas with one single server. Okay, probably this reminds you to Sardin, the people who was working with Liferay for a lot of years, but it's different. So I hope it can be, we can publish it and make it available. Okay. So the latest question the latest thing I wanted to mention is about what's the conclusion about that, and it answers the first question I had. So we are ready to agree to 7.4. I am ready to agree to 7.4. Don't worry about trying to do everything right now. You don't need to migrate everything to low code. Do that have more, maybe requires more, it's more problematic, because then you are going to save a lot of time in upgrades. Some service builder tables, some themes, wherever you consider relevant and that can be migrated. Start trying to automate some part of the database using the upgrade log context or the report or your own test validations. So that's important. And also, we move to cloud. We offer cloud platforms, but that help. But we are still like on premise. Most of our customers are on premise, and we are going to support that for a long time. I don't know. So it's you like on premise and you have that need, keep it. It doesn't mind. You can move to 7.4 without being in cloud. So yeah. So I think that's all I wanted to mention. I don't know if we have time for questions or not, but you wanna ask any question right now, it's fine, or you can reach me later if you want. Okay.
Thanks a lot, Alberto. We have actually a bit of time before the next session, and we have some questions. The first one is about the detail upgrade reports. Someone wants to know from which version it is available, and also if there's a property to activate those.
So the upgrade report is available from 7.3. And what's the second question? Sorry.
If there's a property to activate the upgrade.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, probably I forgot it. So there is a property. Let me check it. You can do it. For now, it's available for the upgrade tool, not during that upgrade, but we want to do it during that upgrade tool. But let me tell you. The property is upgrade.report.enable. It's documented. You look for upgrade reports. I think it's in plural in the documentation. You will find that property, but there is a property you need to add. Yes.
Okay. Maybe I'll let you also write it down in the thread on Slack, so you can follow up afterwards if that was not on stream or.
Yeah, I can do that. I can do that later.
Thanks a lot. The last question would be, like, what is the process for updating weekly using a container? So my guess is that it's what would be specific when you upgrade in a containerized environment versus like a more traditional way of using VMs and on-prem installations.
I mean, the question is, what's the process for?
What's the process? But I would guess that what would be the considerations that are specific to using Liferay in a containerized environment, and what are the considerations you have to take care of in that specific kind of installation when you do upgrades and you do weekly upgrades. I think this is maybe some of the consideration we have with LXC.
Yeah. I think that's the best scenario, because when you have Docker or a container, you just need to start up the new Docker image using the same configuration as before. You can import the previous configuration, and that's all. You don't need to do anything else. So it's more difficult when you have a on-premise, because you have a normal difficult, but takes more time. You have to download the bundle, configure, and maybe connect to that. I don't know. But if you Docker, you have a container, is easier. And then in LXC, what they are also doing is they are trying to automate the upgrade, because you need to add the property to auto upgrade, or using the upgrade tool, but maybe without upgrade is faster, and then validate the results, maybe just checking the report or checking the log context, or automating test, and then after that just put that in production. So it's not too much.
Yeah, and it also would depend, because we say container, but actually it could be like Kubernetes or something else, and then depending on the platform, obviously you have more tools to do rolling updates.
Right? Yeah, that's right. Sorry, I missed that part. Yeah, in fact we use Kubernetes, so yeah, that's it. I am not an expert on that side, but yeah, sure. we are doing that kind of process in LXC.
Okay, I think that's pretty much it for the question for now.
Thank you.
So thanks again for your presentation. And I guess that you would be around in some pavilion or something. So like the rest of the presenters, it's like stock Alberto somewhere here. And yeah, he will answer more questions.
Yeah, maybe I can go to a room. I don't know which one is closer to not to have to walk a lot. But I don't know. But
you could be just outside of it, and they could, get close to you. It's opening a GHC talk, so yeah,
I can do that. Okay.
Thanks again.
Thank you so much. See you later.
Later.
Bye.
So now we're waiting for next presenter. Fabien, if you're here, you can come on stage and you can do the next presentation. Perfect.
Hello.
Welcome, Fabien.
How are you? Comment ça va?
Ça va et toi?
We'll carry on in English, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. So it was not planned. It's like Olaf told me, like, can you take care of presenting Fabien? Yeah, it's not like let's do the French guy present the next French guy. It's it's completely random. Thanks a lot, Fabien, for being here. And you have a talk, and we are again on objects.
Yes.
We've been on objects all morning. I think it's expected to continue on the next days. And you want to share with us something about objects, workflows, and guests today. So
indeed,
I'll let you with the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, where's the presentation button? Here it is. Okay. So, I can see the screen feedback. So today's topic is about guest-submitted object entries. So I wanted to have a look at how to deal with permissions on the object entries. So who am I? I'm Fabien Boucher. I'm now working as a technical architect for customer success EMEA. And I'm spending some time with the customers to get some real-world use cases for Liferay objects. So I started to play with Liferay objects 2 weeks ago. So it's very new to me, and I didn't follow very much the recent changes. So I made a deep dive, and I've collected a few use cases from customers, and I've been able to implement a few of them recently. So there was a customer asking me about the creation of a user registration form with workflow. So this was possible. So that could be another talk. It was a form where you could collect customer information, and using workflow and object actions, I could create a user in the Liferay database and manage its activations through workflow. I also had to deal with after-sales request management for Liferay commerce orders. So the nice thing here is there are a few Liferay system objects you can bind your Liferay objects to, so that was interesting as well. And then there was customers, they wanted to make it possible for users to submit galleries of famous people, and there was a validation workflow behind. And basically, this is what I'm going to use here from a technical point of view, but for a use case which is related to what we're dealing today. We are going to implement the call for paper process using Liferay Objects. So today there are a few presentations happening, and everybody had to submit their proposals through Google Docs form. So at the point where the dev.24 registration started, I think everything we needed inside of Liferay Objects was not completely ready. So maybe that could be the way we would implement the call for paper for the next dev.24 session, if there is one. So in order to deal with this, we'll go through this process. We will design the talk for the call for paper process as a Liferay object. We will enable workflow. We'll create a paper submission form using the new form components. We will enable guest create and view permission on this object, because we want guest users to be able to submit their proposal, and we also want guests to be able to view the gallery of all the proposals, so the agenda. And so we're going to create a display page, and as you will see, we will have to deal with a few issues in the process. So let's go. Here we are. So first thing I'm going to do here, I'm going to create a new site. Of course, I've lost my session in the meantime. Here we go. So, tac. Creation of your new site. So let's call it dev.24, for example. The first step is going to be to create that object. So let's call it a talk. Are going to be talks. We'll have to populate the fields. So let's have a quick look at what we have here. We have to collect email, name, presentation title, description about the topic, blah, blah, blah. And here we go. So first name is going to be a text. Let's make it mandatory. Last name, text as well. Mandatory. Email address. With text as well. Mandatory. Presentation title. Let's make it a text. Mandatory. We're going to ask for the details. Let it be a long text. We're going to ask for the date. And let's make it mandatory. And let's ask for the duration of the talk. Here, we'd like to bind it to a list. So as soon as you got a list, you're going to create pick lists. Duration of talk. Here, I'm going to say we have 20 minutes. Talk. Minutes. or more. Here we go. I can go back to my object definition. And bind it to that pick list. Here it is.
I just Fabian, I just seen a question to zoom a bit your browser.
Oh, make it a little bigger.
Yeah,
I guess.
A little bigger. Yeah. Thank you.
That I think that could be a good compromise. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
Sorry for that, and thank you for letting me know. So we created a few fields. So now let's say it's enough for. Oh yeah, one important thing: the picture is important from a permission point of view. This is going to be an attachment. Here it is. And we are going to upload it from the user's computer. Okay, and then there may be some information that will be displayed only on the gallery after validation. So for example, once I've submitted my proposal, the administrators are going to choose at what time it's going to happen. Sadly, we don't have a time type for the moment, so we'll have to bind it to text. So this is not going to be mandatory because it will be created beforehand without that time. So good. So far, so good. So at that point, I need to say, okay, let's select the presentation title as the title of the entry. And we're going to put that inside of applications, custom apps, for example. You can select where in the control menu you want your object to live. And what I found is you have to check this for the moment in order to enable permission management. So even if I'm not really going to use it, I have to check that one. Okay, done. So as you can see now, here, when you look at custom apps, you've got talks here. The first thing I'm going to manage is make it possible for guests to add an entry. So I'm going to go to roles here. This is important. I go to guests, and I'm going to define permissions. And you're going to find it here under Site and Asset Administration, Applications. And if I scroll down, we should find talks. Here it is. Hopla. So by default, guest doesn't have add object entry, neither they have view. So add object entry, this is because I want guests to be able to add a new talk. And I want them to be able to view the talks which have been approved. So here we go. Then we need approval. This is quite easy. I'm going to Applications, Process Builder, Configuration. And here, every Liferay object you're going to create is going to be available here. And I'm going to say that talk is bound to the single approver workflow. Okay. So now going back to my to the site we have created, dev.24. We're going to create, dev.24 view, go to site settings. Okay. Going to create 2 pages. The first page is going to be the agenda. And the second one is going to be the call for paper.
Sorry, I think you might need to zoom here.
Oh, yes. Thank you.
Because
the call for paper.
Yeah. So the call for paper. So here,
as soon as you create the first Liferay object, you have this new category inside of your fragment library. You got those form components. So if you start vanilla Liferay, this will not appear. You have to create a first object before it is added to that list. So you can put a form container on that page. You can say to which object it is bound. So it is bound to talk here in that case. Then what happens is Liferay loads all the required forms and also the non-required ones. So here, time of the talk, I don't want to make it available to the user. I'm deleting it. And then I have all the liberty to organize that that stuff on the page. So for example, let's put two columns here, first name, last name. Going to add a title here. Heading. Submit or proposal. Here for the moment, details is a single line. We will change that afterwards. Can download a picture, presentation date, presentation title. This one would be good to bring it first. Then the details, first name, last name, email, picture, presentation date, talk duration. Let's put that in a grid as well. Up. So the nice thing with that new capability is somehow it's going to replace Liferay forms, and you have more freedom in how you organize your form, because you can add here. Please upload a picture, your portrait up to display on the agenda. You can add spaces. So more freedoms than you used to have in the former version. Let's put a paragraph here. Just going to take some text here. To illustrate, here it is. Hopla. Good. So this is what you can easily get. View. So for the moment, I've got an issue here. In email, I can type anything, even if it's not an email. And here for details would be good to have a text area instead. So let's have a look at the built-in fragments. So we've got them here, and we can create our own collection. Custom form components. Here we go. I'm going to use text input. And I'm going to create my email input. Oh, first I want to rename it. Rename email input. So this is quite easy. Input here, type text. Let's make it type email, and here we go. That's quite easy. And I also want a text area. I can take text input, copy to here, rename text area. Also use that JavaScript part to make custom validation rules. One thing I did, I created an email input, and I put here some logic in order to you ask the customer to enter twice the email, and you check that the value is the same in the two fields. So you can do that kind of stuff quite easily using JavaScript validation here. So here, all I have to do is turn that into a text area, and I should be fine. So they are not provided off the shelf, but they are quite easy to implement, as you can see. So I'm going here. That email, I'm going to unbind it and map, and instead I'm going to add my custom form component, email input, hop, down to email, and I can remove that one. And then the details here, text area input, this one, and map, and I can remap it. Good. So that was quite easy. And one final thing I can do, I can put an annoying captcha. It's always fun. Here it is. Wow, perfect. So then next thing I want to do, I want to create here a display page. So we have the agenda of dev.24. Spacer, and I'm going to move it inside. I'm going to fetch the content display, so I can use the collection display here. Here again, it has to be put here. I can select a collection, so my Liferay Objects is bound to a collection provider, so talks. We can display it in that manner, that's fine. We're going to add a few things. We're going to first put, maybe we can put the picture of the person here on the right, here the title, description, here a few details maybe, the time, let's do it that way. So first of all, we want to put the title, presentation title. Here we're going to put the presentation date. Let's duplicate it, and we're going to put the time underneath. Time of the talk. And here the picture, and you will see that one is going to be an issue. We're going to get back to it. On here in the middle, the details of the talk. Hopla. Details. Here we go. So no results found for the moment. Let's take the call for paper, open a new window. I'm going to make it bigger immediately. Hopla. So let's fetch some real presentation. Hopla. From dev.24. We'll start with that one. Integrate and exchange data. Details. Oh, I was actually not, I didn't anticipate that we could have two people, so I'm going to use the first name here. I'm going to guess the email address. I've got a picture. Enregistrer l'image sous. Use case. Object use case. Here it is. Here it is. No, it is not here. It's there. So select the picture. Presentation date for today's option and
Is it the right window? You don't have the other previous information.
Oh, you're right. What have I done? Oh, yeah. It's actually I started in the wrong one because I wanted to illustrate that I can do it in a
As a guest, yeah.
as a guest indeed. So, blah. Hopla. Here's a picture, the date, and I can put this. Oh, it should be submitted. Here we go. So now if I go back as an administrator, and don't forget about making it bigger, hopla. I can look here at the talks. We'll see that it is pending because of the process. If I look at the agenda, there's nothing for the moment, so I have to approve it. So let's take that notification. I'm going to assign it to me. I can look at the details. I'm fine with it. Oh, I want to add the time of the talk, so I cannot access it directly from here. We are missing an automatic link for the moment, so I've got to go here, talks. I can edit it, and I can add the time. So UTC. Opla. I save it, and I'm going to approve it. Here we go. So now if I look at the agenda, we should see something. Okay, that's good. So for the moment, I haven't put the picture, and there is a reason for this, because it's not that easy. If we go back at content edition, here, dev.24, layout edition, let's try to put the image. Mapping, user profile image. This is the one of the user. Not good. So what I had to do, I will show you that. I've created a custom fragment to deal with that. Design fragment. And hopla, new basic fragment. EA file entry image. So I've prepared the code. I will share it with you. So basically what I'm doing is I'm creating a fragment where configuration, here we go. Good. So what I'm doing is I'm putting here an invisible tag where I receive the file entry ID from the object. So this will make it possible for me to map the image which has been uploaded. And here I've got an image tag, and I'm doing some magic here in order to make a call to the REST API in order to fetch the actual image URL and put it in the source here. So this is basically the idea. So let's go back to here. And instead of putting the usual picture tag, picture fragment here, I'm going to take my custom one. Gallery, DL file entry image. And here I'm going to map a text field, which is the picture. Here we go. We get nothing. We have to check that. Image. Hoopla, here it is. Oh yes, we have a permission issue, and we'll have to deal with it, because the thing is, we've given permission to view on the image, but not on the talk, but not on the image. So let's go to that. I will go to talk objects, talks. Here we go. And here, what you can do, you can create actions bound to objects. So this is going to be uploaded images permissions. I'm going to execute that after add. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to updates permissions. Oh, actually not. I'm not going to do it after add. I need to do it after update when the status equals 0, because I want it to be bound to the approval process. So what I'm doing here is I'm fetching information about the DL file entry, and I'm updating the permissions. The only thing here I need to provide is the actual name of the field. So it was the time presentation picture. For a reason I don't know why, it has to be the name you get here from the right is not correct. It's putting an underscore, which is not supposed to be there. So you have to remove it. Be careful about that. So this is going to execute after we upload a picture. We upload a talk. So let's go back to the talk upload. I think I've closed that window. No, I haven't. Call for paper, presentation title, presentation, the details, first name, I will select an image. Let's download one. It was not here, it was here. It was there. Selecting the image. 972 population. That one I can read. Submit. Okay. So now let's have a look at here's the workflow again. I received a notification as an admin. I'm going to assign it to me and approve it. And let's have a look at now the the objects. Here they are. And in talks, the actions, you can check if, yes, the last execution was a success. That is good. And I will have a look at the document library on dev.24, because every content you upload ends up here. And let's check the pictures. So if we have a look at this picture and we check the permissions, we don't have the guest view permission here. Whereas here, we should have it. Yes, guest permission view is here. So that was the point of the script. So because it was not there, I'm going to add it here to correct it. And let's check if everything is in order. There might be an issue. I think there's still an issue which I have to check. I may have made an error here. Up. So we're getting this. Maybe I have a clue here. Let's reload it. Yes, user must have view permission for DL file entry. Oh, might be that I have to give permission here as well, once and for all. I think I did it manually. Yes, it was all about that that permission you have to give on the folder which has been automatically generated, and I completely forgot about it. So this is how you can implement that kind of process within Liferay with objects. We could do even more, but this was meant to be an introduction. Maybe you have a few questions about it.
Thanks a lot, Fabien. Yes, there are some questions in the Slack. After seeing this creation of form from an object, there's a wonder whether or not forms are being retired now. I think this is the obvious one with this new application page. I think we mentioned that in the last dev.24, but that was not a reality. This is not what you showed. So what about forms now?
Oh yeah, from what I've seen, we're this year is going to somehow replace forms, from what I've known. So that we're going to have a lot of evolutions here for this, and from what I know, there will be less evolution on forms itself. So this is meant to be a replacement, and from my point of view, you can do a lot of things you couldn't do with forms in the past. Because if you look here at objects, there is something I haven't used in that example, but I have used in other examples. You can create validations on your forms, so you can implement complex rules to validate the input. You can also, I will show you that example. I created a custom portal where you have, for example, to match those two email addresses. And here I created a fragment, password input with validation. And you can write some logic to validate that the two values match. You can create more complex rules than the one you used to be able to do with Liferay forms. So it's for the better, maybe.
Thank you. Another question is, like this kind of applications, I'm rephrasing that a bit, but this type of application you're doing, like submitting a proposal, would be something that would have been a portlet at some point, like this is self-contained application, and the benefit is you package everything, and you can deploy and deploy. And when you evolve it, you also have like versioning. You have version control. So when you have to update like the whole process of that proposal, you would like do a V2 and deploy it. So since you can do that complex stuff now with objects, validation, and all you shared with the form inputs you have with fragments and those application pages, how do you deal with that used to be a workflow on the applications?
I think the team is working on that. Packaging applications which are a combination of objects and stuff. So I think there is ongoing research on that topic, because indeed this is the drawback of low code, is that you don't have the same level of industrialization we have with code, I think. So there is still some tooling to develop, I believe. But for that kind of simple use cases, this is great. When you have to create that kind of app, you can spawn it in a few hours. You can get something working. For more complex use cases, maybe it's a bit early, I don't know, but we need some additional tooling indeed to manage data upgrades and stuff. Yeah.
Okay, thanks a lot. I think that's pretty much it for the questions. Again, you would be probably around in some pavilion. I think we have Paris on the top left.
Okay, so I have to be embarrassed.
Yeah, you can be at home here virtually. And if people want to ask questions, they can follow you around. And
Yeah.
there's also the community Slack where you are. So I think you can be tagged if there's other questions. Thanks
Thank you.
again, Fabian.
And I'll be there this evening.
Yeah, we'll see you soon.
For a presentation about Glowroot. See you all.
Glowroot. Yeah, don't miss that.
Yes,
Thank you.
we're looking forward to seeing you again.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Louis Guillaume, for taking over. And
You're very welcome. I'm here for that.
As I might want to say, this is the one event where you can actually bring your pets, and we might take that as evidence that it's okay to bring your pets to Liferay events. Please meet Fiete. And speaking of meeting, this is the time for the networking break. Last year, we've just had a constant stream of presentations, but we have this awesome world where we can just meet each other, just like at a conference, and where you can talk to each other, where you can show each other your pets, even if they're a little bit pushy. Right now, the little one is now demanding attention, but please explore the world, meet people, and ask your questions or help each other out with any of the explorations that you've had, with any of the features that you have learned about. Meet anybody. As long as you are somewhere not in the audience, you can just stand next to each other, talk to each other, or just find any of the Jitsi meetings that are in any of the pavilions. We'll meet each other at, if I remember correctly, 3 o'clock in the afternoon UTC time. You do the math for your own time zone, or you go to liferay.dev/24. When you're logged in, it actually contains your exact personal configured time zone. Now, one warning for all of those in Europe, in Central European time, it says CEST, and we stumble upon that with a couple of people. The CEST, for some reason or another, I don't know why, the S is for standard, not for summer. So we're 1 hour away from UTC. Well, still, the UTC time is authoritative. You do the math, and we'll see each other in 2 hours. So now it is, no, in 1 hour, sorry. Now it's 3 o'clock CET, that means 2 o'clock UTC, and we'll continue in exactly 1 hour at 3 o'clock UTC. Any corrections, Louis? Did I make...
Well, that's correct.
That's correct?
So
okay.
In an hour, you can put just a timer, whatever your time zone is. Just in an hour, we'll be back here.
Yep. Okay. Okay. At least that duration is the same for each time zone.
The duration is correct.
So see you in an hour. I'm going to stop the stream now, and then we'll start a new stream later on. The audience might be able to keep that, or you might need to leave the audience one way or another. See you in an hour, or in a pavilion or anywhere outside.